But first, the Daily Nation top story here, and we have the Chief Justice Martha Koome's image. Why CJ wants life sentence scrapped. Criminal justice amendments also seek to abolish petty offences, protect intersex persons. Radical, the judiciary has tabled 2 bills in the National Assembly that propose sweeping changes to the Penal Code and the Criminal Procedure Code, including the readjustment of sentences for murder and robbery to ensure proportionate punishment and the abolishment of life sentences, which will be replaced with a maximum sentence of 30 years. I believe it is also the front page story, the headline of the Standard, so we can quickly take a look at that. Here we go. This is what it looks like on the front page of the Standard. Murderers to get lighter sentences. Interesting way to phrase it. Chief Justice Martha Koome is asking MPs to change the Penal Code, hence making punishment for capital offences less severe in light of global conventions. More on that on page 2 of the Standard. But let's take a look at what else is on the front page of the Daily Nation. At the very top, squatters on Kirima City land given up to December the 31st, as you heard from Brian Mushiri, to leave or face bulldozers. Page 12 of the Daily Nation. More pain at the pump if tax proposal gets nod. Roads Board seeking to raise fuel levy by 5 shillings. More on page 7. We'll take a closer look at that one. And here we go. Inheritance. Rai heirs in court fight over family wealth. The family of deceased tycoon, and that is Tarlokan Singh Rai, is embroiled in a dispute over the ownership of Rai Investments Limited after 2 sons moved to court over alleged manipulation of shares. Education, lobby seeks to halt costly university loans funding plan. The Kenya Human Rights Commission has filed a case at the High Court seeking to stop the Ministry of Education from implementing the funding model for higher education unveiled by the President in May. More on the back page of the Daily Nation. And in football, Man United desperate for win as Copenhagen come calling in Europe. And in some not so good news, shilling exchanges at 150 to the dollar. The official exchange rate of the shilling against the dollar yesterday crossed the 150 unit mark, following a period of sustained and consistent depreciation. Does this, Wanjiku, concern you? That the exchange rate between the shilling and the dollar is now 150?
Yes, Olive, because at the end of the day, it translates to the cost of living today. Mm-hmm. Opportunities for young people, especially even when you're doing consultancy. How much you quote now is, at the end of the day, you're asked to quote less, because now at the end of the day, even our shilling is not strong. For example, even when we're going now for international engagements, recently I was in Denmark. I couldn't spend as much. You know, I had to even cut down. The per diem was not the per diem. Yes, it wasn't. You know, even the food, when you're going into a restaurant, you're always on your phone, you're translating to Kenyan shillings, and you want just a simple meal like a burger and fries. And when I translated to Kenyan shillings, I'm at 3,500 Kenyan shillings. Oh my God. Maybe I should just have fries and just a soda. Yes, so I am concerned as a young person.
How about you, Cynthia?
It's really concerning because currently we are facing unemployment among the youth, and most of us have decided to go into business. And when the dollar rate is really high, it means the cost of importation or the cost of goods is really high, which trickles down to the youth not having a sustainability in terms of businesses. Yeah.
All right. We also have Valentine Otieno. Hi, good morning, Valentine. As I mentioned, she's joining us from Kisumu. Does the exchange rate hitting 150 concern you, given assurances that interventions had been put in place to bring it back down to about 120?
Thank you very much, Olive, for having me. It's been such a long time. I think it's exactly a year since I was on your show. Thank you very much. The dollar rate is actually something to worry about. It means that, life is getting harder for us, and something has to be done about it. So we are calling on the government to do something very quickly, because if we don't reduce it, if we don't do something about it, then it's going to be such a toll, especially on young people, people in business, and just everybody at large.
All right, Wanja Maina is getting settled. We'll get her thoughts soon enough, but also in the business, in the Daily Nation. I know I was looking at the exchange rate and my mind thought business daily, but in the Daily Nation, we also have UDA kicks Sakaja allies out of key posts in assembly. The ruling party accused the officials of failing to unite members. That is on page 5 of the Daily Nation, penned by one Kevin Cheruiyot. The ruling party, UDA, that is the United Democratic Alliance. Let me just make this slightly larger. I think it looks better now. So yesterday they kicked out minority leaders at the Nairobi County Assembly, most of whom are close allies of Governor Johnson Sakaja. The officials were accused of failing to unite members. In a statement to Assembly Speaker Ken Ngondi, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala named Nairobi South MCA Waithera Chege as the new minority leader. I imagine the women are celebrating this at least. We also have Waithera replaces Anthony Kiragu Karanja of Waithaka Ward. Ms. Chege previously served as Deputy Minority Leader and was behind the collection of signatures to remove Kiragu. Githurai MCA Dionysius Mwangi has been named Deputy Minority Leader, and nominated member Joyce Muthoni is the Minority Whip, replacing Umojawan MCA Mark Ronaldo Mugambi. Clay City MCA Samora Mora is the new Deputy Minority Whip. So, insert there is this quote attributed to Cleophas Malala. It was resolved that the Minority Leader and the Minority Whip be removed for reasons contained in the referenced minutes. So the Nairobi County Assembly situation, Wanjiko, Sakaja has been accused of causing up too much to the opposition, who are the majority. So what do you make of this development?
For me, I celebrate this, what has happened, because Waithera Chege is a leader who's well known to me, and she's very, very progressive. This is a woman who knows what she's doing in the county assembly, so it's a year for women.
Oh, okay, thumbs up. Cynthia?
Thank you, Olive. Just as my counterpart has said, it's a win for women, but also when we look at Sakaja being accused of leaning towards the Azimio MCAs, I believe leadership is all about inclusivity, and once you're in office, in as much as politics matters, leadership takes the center stage. Okay.
Yeah. Wanja Karibu, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you feeling today?
Fantastic.
Good, good. Yes. We thank God.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this development?
The issue of Nairobi County Assembly has always been a very interesting issue, because Nairobi County Assembly is an assembly in a cosmopolitan city. Because if you look at the representation in the assembly in itself, is almost 50-50. Part of it is the Kenya Kwanza side, and part of it is the Azimio side. So I would imagine the very unique situation that the governor finds himself in, where half of the MCAs who are supposed to pass his bills and his issues are on the other side. Is it causing with the MCAs, or is it just creating a sense of a working relationship, knowing too well that the challenges he faces are quite different, maybe from a governor in a place like Tharaka Nithi, where all the MCAs are from UDA party, for example. That said, these issues of uniting members, one would ask, unity of what? Unity to agree to pass the finance bill, which maybe their members who elected them in the wards are against it. Unity to, because you see, is the MCA answerable to the governor, or is the MCA answerable to Mwananchi? So those are some of the issues. And it could be that this, what they are referring to as unity, could actually be one of the usual attempts by the politics to force the MCAs to speak in one voice, even when it's against the people they represent in the assembly. Also, it also brings about issues of really of the thin line between the executive and the legislature. When you say that the MCAs are Sakaja's allies, what do you mean? Do they represent Wananchi, or do they represent the interest of the executive? So this remains to be a reflection of even what is happening in the national perspective, where there are issues to do with the legislature and the executive and that thin line. But I mean, if the replacement is Waithira, whom, as my fellow friends have said, she's quite, you know, you admire her because of the attempt she has made. She has vied in South B twice and won. She's a great environmentalist. She has passed very progressive bills in Nairobi County Assembly around the environment. So congratulations to her, and I wish her all the best.
All right. So do I. Have actually also interacted with her, and she was quite impressive. Soon enough, I will have you in studio.
Yeah.
All right. Valentine, what do you make of the intrigues at the Nairobi County Assembly? Sakaja has been branded by some a mole, given his, I don't know that call it a working relationship, or, you know, however you phrase it. There are those who have taken the view that he is too cozy with those on the other side of the aisle.
I think that MCAs, once they're elected to represent their people. And it is such a big issue, especially here in Kisumu County, where we have all the MCAs, from one particular party. This makes it very hard for a leader to represent the interests of the people, because you find that some of the MCAs will side with the governor and things like that. But what they were elected for is to actually represent their people, whether that goes against the governor's interest or whether that goes against what they are being forced to do. I wouldn't really talk bad of Governor Sakaja and his allies. I mean, everybody has the right to associate with whomever they want. But I would say that this is a very big win for women, especially as today we are talking about women. This is a big win for the women, and we are very happy that one of us has actually taken the mantle. But when you look at Sakaja and his allies, I think this is politics. Politics is interest, and you'll find that most of the time interests align differently. So it's about a leader elected, the MCAs. Are they going to represent the people who elected them, or are they going to, wins to the governor's whims?
All right, let us take a look at what else is contained in the dailies. You flip over on page 6. Free fall, shilling breaches 150 mark against the dollar already. Wanjiku, Valentine, yourself and Cynthia have commented on this. I just wanted to take a look at some of the details contained here in this particular report. Is by Charles Mwaniki. Since the beginning of the year, the shilling has depreciated by 17.7% against the dollar. Did I flip? Yes, I did. Can you see it? Yes, you can. Okay. Has depreciated by 17.7% against the dollar, which is more than double the 8.3% it shared against the unit in the whole of 2022. The CBK, that is the Central Bank of Kenya, indicative rate published yesterday morning showed the dollar's buy price at 149.84 cents and 84 cents, and a selling rate of 150 shillings units, hence an average of 149.94 cents. The spot or average trading rate has climbed to 150 in the afternoon. And in comparison, Uganda, this year the Uganda shilling has gained 20.2% to exchange at 25 units versus the Kenyan unit, while the Tanzania shilling gained by 13%, 13.4 to 16.67 units, as the Rwandan franc rose 6.1% to 8.15 units. And Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndogo, when appearing before the National Assembly on September 27th, said the shilling's recent slide was not a, quote, free fall, but rather a process of adjustment from what he termed as historical policy mistakes in management of the shilling. Quickly, your thoughts on this, Wanja?
you know, Olive, when we talk about the shilling becoming, the dollar exchanging at 150 shillings, your average Kenyan would wonder, na dollar, what can it, you know, some of these issues look so far-fetched or a bit out of touch with the person who interacts with Kenya shillings. But just the other day we were speaking with someone we know, and they are studying abroad on a partial scholarship. So the parents contribute in the payment of partial accommodation. Now the partial accommodation is 300 USD. So the parent was sending to abroad somewhere in Europe around that K. So when the dollar is 150, to the parent somewhere hustling in Nairobi, they have to send around 50,000 shilling to shared accommodation in Europe. This currency and how it is affecting your average mwananchi is when we look at our traders and our moms and our dads who are selling second-hand Motuba clothes in Gekomba, not far from here, or even downtown Nairobi, where they have to pay the increase that we have seen here when they are importing. So the question is, because they are profiteers and they have to make profit, the money that is excess that has been used in the importation, who will be passed that burden? It is you and me when we are going to buy a nice Motuba jacket blazer or shoes or maybe something nice. So this fall of the shilling to the dollar is actually increasing the cost of living to me, because if I would have spent 500 shillings to buy a jacket, I'll buy it at 700 shillings. But my income has not increased. So if I go to downtown here to buy makeup somewhere we go near here, the seller who used to sell me some funny makeup at 500 shillings, they'll sell to me at 700 shillings. But my income is still the same. So this issue of the increase in the shilling, those issues of it was not a free fall, it was this, it was not that. For me, I see it as, at the end of the day, what does that mean to the pocket of the person whose income has not increased? And you know, there were declarations that in the next few months, it will become 120. But are the currencies stabilized by mere political declarations, or is it deliberate economic steps and deliberate economic programs that actually makes your currency to be more stronger? And Olive, you've read for us very well that in our neighboring countries, the currency is doing fairly well. So the question would be, is it now, I think we have, in Kenya now, we have become a country where we look for excuses. The other day we were looking for excuses as Israel and Ukraine. Now I think there's another war in Israel. Is it Russia and Ukraine? Now there's another war in Russia and Israel and Palestine. Will we now blame Israel because of the currency? I think for me is, at this rate, will we be at 200 shillings in the next 2 months? What is happening in our country that is not happening in our neighboring countries? Okay. Uganda, a country that is actually landlocked. All right. Those are some of the questions.
Yeah, but you know, Wanja, the goal is you buy Kenyan. Mm-hmm. So when utafute material, kujishonea jacket. Anyway, just on a light note. Okay, on the next page, more pain at the pump looms if new levy gets a nod. This particular report is by Alan Odhiambo. Kenyans should brace themselves for even higher fuel prices in the coming days if a new proposal to increase road maintenance tax is approved. The Kenya Roads Board is seeking to increase the road maintenance levy by 5 shillings to cater, let me see, for inflation in the cost of road construction materials. The tax, commonly referred to as the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, is collected at the fuel pump and is currently set at 18 shillings per litre of petrol and diesel, with 3 shillings allocated to the annuity fund and the balance to road maintenance, rehabilitation and development. This means that motorists would pay 23 shillings per litre of fuel at the pump if the proposal is approved, raising the overall cost of the commodity. Recommend and lobby for a review, a quote here, of RMLF rate, increase of road maintenance levy rate by 5 shillings, KRB said in its work plan for the period 2023-2027, arguing that even though the price of petrol and diesel has been rising since 2020, the amount charged as the fuel levy remained constant at 18 shillings per litre, despite the increased demand for better roads. KRB is proposing that the changes take force in 2025. So I suppose, should they be approved, there is some reprieve that it will not come immediately into effect. But KRB said the cost of maintaining roads has shot up substantially, from costlier fuel prices to the cost of key road construction materials, including tar and bitumen, and is expected to impact the cost of periodic road maintenance by road agencies in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, which commenced on July the 1st. For example, they tell us the cost of periodic maintenance per kilometer by KENHA is expected to move from 3.994 million shillings to 6 million shillings in the current financial year, according to data from KRB. That's quite a steep rise. There has been an increase in periodic maintenance cost by about 35%, attributable to the uptake of roads with failed payments and increase in price construction materials, mainly due to rise in fuel prices. So one is feeding the other, I suppose. Rise in terror attacks due to drop in Shabab's revenue, our UN report shows. And I will quickly flip to page 33 of the Daily Nation, because I want to make special mention that tonight we have on Spot On. Bernard Ndong sat down with Faith Kipyegon, and so you should most definitely tune in for that. Olympic champ tells NTV's Spot On that she wants to run the marathon in future. Keeping the faith, multiple record holder Kipyegon is not done yet. So be sure to tune in at 10 p.m. Okay, so let us now take a look at, I think we quickly looked at this, and I'm seeing it's about time for me to take a break. So we'll take a break. We'll come back quickly, look at what else the Standard has, Business Daily, Taifa Leo, The Star, People Daily, and then we'll get into the topic of conversation. Just a reminder what that is. This is it, Women for Women, the place of intergenerational mentorship in politics. We have in studio Wanja Maina, NEC member, Jubilee Party, Cynthia Kerubo-Toel, MD, SBRAPI International, Valentine Otieno, youth leader, UDA, joining us virtually, and Wanjiko Thiga, gender justice advocate, and had she won, she would be the Theta member of County Assembly, but in Kiambu. I wonder whether you'd be giving Wamatangi sleepless nights on that side.
I was shortlisted for the Chief Officer Youth Affairs.
Ah, okay.
Janipatia job banner.
Okay. All right.
We are still waiting.
More on the other side of this break.
What's your relationship with pain? What's your relationship with change? What is your relationship with finances? Do you get knocked out or do you go with the punches?
Kitovu cha vizazi ni baba mzazi. Unafaa kuzingatia nini kabla hujalitia guu lako ndani?
Join us for the third edition of Man Cave.
Tuchambue, tutadavue nyama na mdahalo wake. Maswala ya wanaume peupe.
And this time, we have an amazing after party session from 7 p.m. till midnight. And we'll have great music, great food, and also fireside chats. And for you guys who want to spend the night over, well, definitely, we have the plan for you.
Tarehe 28 mwezi wa Oktoba mwaka 2023. Ungana nasi hapa All Tepes Picnic Site kwa sherehe bab kubwa.
When men meet, change happens.
Introducing the East African Entrepreneurship Conference and Expo, hosted in the heart of the Democratic Republic of Congo from October 31st to November 2nd, 2023. Proudly presented by Nation Media Group. Unleash the potential of East African entrepreneurship as you connect with visionary minds, explore untapped markets, and forge lucrative trade partnerships. Whether you're poised to conquer the vibrant business landscape of the DRC or eager to expand your footprint across East Africa, this event is your gateway to success. For comprehensive details and registration, call Joanne on 0724 661 440 or email jmasika@ke.nationmedia.com.
Now this week, we are looking at gene editing, that scientific technique of making specific changes to an organism's DNA.
Genome editing is one of the additional tools that is now coming up and showing very great promise in terms of changing the breeding landscape.
We have made Stega-resistant sorghum using genome editing, so Africa, of all the people, should be very receptive of this technology.
Gene transfer technology is safe, it can be controlled, and it's going also to be very important in terms of food security.
Mortein Doom, with its trusted formulation, it provides protection in seconds. So spread the Mortein Doom message of how we, you and I, can fight to end malaria. Mortein Doom, Kenya's #1 choice.
According to data from the Ministry of Health, 23,000 lives are lost in Kenya annually due to indoor air pollution.
The use of firewood and charcoal emit black carbon particles that harm our respiratory systems.
Hii hapa jiko la kisasa, inapika kwa haraka, inaweka joto jingi kwa muda mrefu, na inatumia kuni kidogo, na save kuni, na save afya, na save pesa, na save mazingira kwa kutumia kuni kidogo.
We all need to embrace the call for clean cooking and reach out to Kenyans so that they are aware of the benefits and they practice the talk.
All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started.
So can I just laugh at myself because the interview with Faith Kipyegon aired last night. Yes, Spot On comes on Monday at 10 p.m. But msitense, kuna repeat after your world 9 a.m. You can catch that interview in case you missed it. Should you wish to rewatch it, you can find it on the NTV Kenya website. All right, and that is ntvkenya.co.ke. Where were we? We were Standard, right? No. Taifa Leo. Let's take a look at Taifa Leo. Kwa nini tunahepa Raila? That is the headline. Wanasiasa mbalimbali waliokuwa wanadai wandani wakuu watinga waeleza kiini cha kutengana na kinara wao. Elizabeth Ongoro quoted here saying, kama jamii tumekuwa katika utumwa wa siasa kwa muda mrefu, lazima tukubali kuwa mageuzi yapo. Eliud Owalo quoted as saying, ninawaomba sote tumuunge Rais Ruto, yeye ni kama baba yetu, hawezi kutunyima maendeleo. Charles Owino quoted as saying, sharti tuachane na ghasia katika eneo hili, nina ujuzi wa kutosha kukabiliana na ghasia. Ayecho Olweni quoted as saying, nilifukuzwa katika kikao cha ODM eti kwa sababu sikuwa nimealikwa nikakosa chama. So the others who, according to the Taifa Leo, wamehepa Raila Odinga, Felix Odiwuor, better known as Jalango, William Odwol, Tom Ojenda, Karoli Omondi wataja udikteta, utumwa, hada, ghasia na kuaibishwa hadharani ndani ya ODM kama sababu kuu za kumkimbia kinara wao na kujiunga na muungano wa Kenya Kwanza. So, I did well. Okay, also here, and we'll come back to this story. I just want us to quickly look at the front pages. We'll come back to this. Kega arukia Ruto kwa mapuuza. Adai katika, am I reading that right? Kega arukia. Okay. Okay, adai katika idhaa ya redio kwa rais ameanza kupuuza Mlima Kenya. We'll also take a look at that. Uhuru akataa maridhiano. Kioni asema anayetaka kuzungumza na rais wa zamani afanye hivyo kimya kimya. Let us see what else there is. Business Daily, this is the headline. Kenya shilling official exchange rate hits 150. We've taken a look at this. Same report by Charles, or rather, might not be the same, but penned by the same fellow, Charles Mwaniki. MPs plan new entity to regulate bank loans. Let me see the ticker. Treasury, what Kenya got from China. The recent visit by a Kenyan delegation led by President William Ruto to China was not motivated by a quest for new loans, according to the Treasury, despite previous indications the country would seek to unlock new funding for road projects. Kerry waives 230 billion shillings in fines, interest for pardoned taxpayers. Commercial bank lending rates at 81-month high. Let's see, get a little bit more detail on that. It reads, average commercial bank borrowing rates hit an 81-month high of 13.83% in August, mirroring the effects of a rising interest rates environment. More on page 14 of the Business Daily. Let us take a look just quickly at what else was on the front page of the Standard. Talks team agrees to deal with high cost of living. Good news, no, ladies? And highlighted, bulleted on the front page there, mandate of the committee was extended by a further 30 days. From October 28th, the committee shall be required to report on or before November 26th, and thereafter submit a report to Parliament. August 28th, date Parliament established committee to probe issues and report back within 60 days. The team agreed to come up with proposals to make life better for the Mwananchi. And a subject we discussed yesterday here on AM Live, Ruto walks diplomatic tightrope in China visit. Experts claim the trip, during which President Ruto attended the Third Belt and Road Initiative Forum, was overshadowed by the Kenyan president's growing fling with the West. You can find the AM Live show on YouTube. Okay, the Star now. Let us see. Why newborn deaths spiral out of control. Report cites insufficient health services and wards. And let's see. Auditor points to lack of basic equipment. Commodities at levels 1 to 3 facilities. Ruto and Raila teams retreat to Naivasha to hammer out a deal. National Dialogue Committee members Kimani Ichung'wah, Opiyo Wandayi, Kalonzo Musyoka and Aaron Cheruiyot during a retreat to prepare the report and final negotiations on pending issues in Naivasha yesterday. All smiles. I saw somebody said, just because you did not see William Ruto shake Raila's hand at the entrance of Harambee House does not mean there was no handshake, but we'll come back to that. Let us see what else is here. Criminal Code, how bill could trigger fresh LGBTQ debate. Proposed change to the Criminal Procedure Code could open the door to transgenderism by broadening the definition of intersex amid push for wider inclusion. Intersex is a person born with both male and female genitalia. A transgender is one who is transiting from one gender to another through hormonal therapy. Freedom to inform, live coverage of protests, media houses right. The High Court has ruled that the Communication Authority of Kenya was wrong to threaten 6 television stations with closure to stop giving live coverage of the Azimio protests earlier in the year. Judge John Chigiti found that the agency violated the rights of television stations. Let's leave this here. Let's take a look. Finally, I think the only one we haven't looked at is People Daily, right? Late by-election, voter sues IEBC. Electoral Commission, quote, dead. Petitioner wants court to order selection team to name new officials who can conduct poll to replace dead MP, as CEO Marajan says staff cannot move or change boundaries without commissioners. He is quoted here saying crucial operations at the electoral agency came to a standstill following the retirement of Chairman Wafula Chebukati and Commissioners Abdi Gulie and Boya Molu in January. Let me see what else is up here. Another blow against Nairobi homeowners. Court orders thousands of people to be evicted from 1,000 acres belonging to late city billionaire Kirima's family. And we will leave that there. We will quickly take a look at these stories on the front page of Taifa Leo because they're just too juicy to ignore. I'll start with you, Wanjiko. Kwa nini tunahepa Raila? Wataja udikteta, utumwa, hadaa, ghasia na kuaibishwa hadharani ndani ya ODM kama sababu kuu za kukimbia kinara wao na kujiunga na muungano wa Kenya Kwanza. It's one of the issues on the table where the national dialogue is concerned. But what do you make of this?
I think, especially the politicians on the front page, they're coming to realize, which I find progressive, that sometimes for you to be able to represent your community, ensure that they're able to take resources from the national government, sometimes you have to support the president. And it's no longer about their needs and the political party needs, it's what the people deserve. So them deciding to, let me put myself behind and prioritize the needs of my community. I think, you know, sometimes it can be a self-sabotage kind of move or but you decide, let me put the people first. And then see 2027, will they forgive you for not really sticking to your party, obeying your party leader? Like even the women representative for Nairobi, Esther Passaris, when she decided to vote yes to the financial bill, yet the political ODM had already taken a stand. She went against the grain of the political party, of her leader, political party leader. But she decided, this is what I believe in my heart, what is good for the community of Nairobi. So them deciding to not stand with Raila I think is a bold move.
Okay, you support it. I saw Cynthia ni kidogo ni kama anakuachia side eye.
Unajua
alikuwa anakuangalia, alifanya hivi akakuangalia.
Yeye ni wazimio.
So I don't know, are you saying, Wanjiko, that you have to be chummy? You have to be chummy with the president to benefit from development?
Sometimes. You know, it's politics at the end of the day.
Funding.
Yes, it's politics at the end of the day. And sometimes the personal is political. So you have, it's a tough choice. You have to make a choice anyway.
All right, Cynthia, your thoughts?
In as much as it's a progressive idea to work with the government for the benefits of your constituents or the people you're representing, you know, I tend to wonder, when did they realize that there's dictatorship in Azimio, or Raila is a dictator? Is it once they got into power? And why, you know, sometimes I feel like people use Raila as a vehicle to get into leadership positions, yeah? And in as much as my counterpart has said, sometimes you have to work with the government for development, I tend to question which development is this that we haven't yet seen, or does it take time for us to notice the development that these Azimio politicians are going to get from State House?
All right, Valentine, sorry. She's been so silent, Wanja, I'll come back to you. Valentine, bado yuko? Valentine,
I am here.
You're here. Ayabas. What do you make of this? That the reason these defectors, quote defectors, have shifted camp is because they say kuna udikteta, utumwa, hadaa, ghasia na kuaibishwa hadharani ndani ya ODM.
It's true. Actually, you know, Olive, I ran for Kisumu County Woman Rep against Raila's sister, Ruth Odinga. And when I started, before I went to another party, I wanted to run on ODM. And I'm telling you that the truth of the matter is, in that party, there was no space for young people. And especially for the fact that I was running against his sister, I even got it twice as hard. So one time during rallies, I had the microphone being snatched from me, and my sister just asked that, when did the Luo politicians realize that Raila is a dictator? And it's out in the open. As from Kisumu County, let me say, for example, Professor Tom Ojienda, during his campaign, even though he was campaigning on ODM, the people from the other party, let me say Raila's ally here in Kisumu, used to insult him. They used to do all sorts of things. They had their own candidate that they were pushing for. It is only that the people really loved Professor Tom Ojienda that they voted him in by force in that particular party. But that party, the truth of the matter, it has a lot of dictatorship. It has a lot of predetermined results. Like for me, for example, if I didn't move to another party, I wouldn't have gotten the 80,000 votes that I got. And I got a lot of frustration from that particular party. And since I moved to UDA, actually, it's been very good. It's a party that has a lot of space for young people. We are being empowered and so many things. And about development that politicians from Luo Nyanza are looking for from Ruto. It is true that Ruto has brought a lot of development since he got into power, especially here in Nyanza. You know, this is quite different from other presidents that we have had before, because Luos are believed to be in the opposition. So all the time we are fighting, and therefore, even if you're a president, you're like, these people do not want me, I'm not going to bring development. But Ruto is different. He's bringing us development, and the leaders that are working with him. For example, we have, during his 4-day tour here in Nyanza, just a few weeks ago, he commissioned a lot of things, several roads. For example, here in Kisumu, he brought a project worth 4 billion here in Kabonyo Kanyagwal that is going to help us, you know, improve the blue economy and improve the fish fish marketing and fish farming that we have here in Kisumu County. So, me, I agree with all the leaders who are working with the president, because at the end of the day, we look at who are we representing the people. So, if the people want development, we bring development to the people. It's not a matter of, I also agree to party fidelity and loyalty. I think it's one of the things being discussed in the bipartisan talks. So I would say that Raila should just let even people from ODM bring development, because Ruto is the president and is going to be president for the next 5 years. So after 2027, we have to see nani alituletea development, and we will take our votes where we wish.
All right. Wanja Maina, nirudi usikie. Wataja udikteta. Rather tuanze hapa. Kwa nini tunahepa Raila? Wanataja udikteta, utumwa, hada, ghasia na kuaibishwa hadharani ndani ya ODM kama sababu kuu za kumkimbia kinara wao na kujiunga na muungano wa Kenya Kwanza.
Asante Olive. Nitajaribu kujibu kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu tunajibu mambo ya taifa leo.
Aha.
Huyo kinara ambao wanamhepa, zamani za kale alikuwa chama ya Ford Kenya. Kukakuwa na mvurugano, akasema anataka kuhama. Alipohama, alihama mpaka kukua mbunge wa Lang'ata, na alipoenda chama ya NDP kulifanywa by election mwaka wa 94. That is Raila Odinga. Swali ni, ukiwa kwa kweli umesikia masheria ya chama ya ODM imekukasirisha na haujafurahi, demokrasia yako inakuruhusu kuhama uende chama kingine. Hawa wabunge wanaomhepa, imekuwaje wanamhepa kwa magazeti kwa Taifa Leo, lakini hakuna yoyote yule aliyemhepa kwa kuandika barua na kusema asante na kwaheri nimepotea. In fact, wakati ambayo waliitwa kesi kwa hiyo mashtaka ya kutokuwa na fidelity kwa chama yao, walienda hadi na wawakili wa kuwatetea. Kwa hivyo, unamhepaje lakini hutaki kutoka, kwa sababu kama unataka kabisa kuoneshana unataka demokrasia, utatoka chama hiyo, kukuwe na by election, kwa sababu watu wamekupenda sana uko kwa ground na uko mzuri, watakuchagua na hiyo chama mpya ambayo utaenda. So, kwetu imekuwa jambo la kusikitisha. Na unajua mwisho ina reflect kwa wananchi. Wananchi wakati ambayo waliamka wakachukua rafiki yangu Cynthia wakasema tunataka Cynthia kwa hii chama ya machungwa tuseme ama ya viazi. Kwa nini umehama?
Hiyo ni gani ya viazi?
Ya mandizi. Ukaenda chama kingine, inamaanisha watu walikuchagua kwa sababu pia ya hiyo chama. Kwa sababu watu ukiangalia ukweli ya mambo ni kwamba siasa yetu ya Kenya, hata tukiwa tunajifanya hatuelewi, siasa yetu ya Kenya pia inakuanga na tribal dynamic na tribal mobilization. Ukiangalia chama ya ODM, especially hiyo upande ya Nyanza na Western, kuna vile tukiwa na hiyo tiketi ya ODM, chance yako ya kushinda kama ni mbio uko miles ahead. So tumekuwa tukiuliza, imekuwaje kama watu walikuchagua kwa chungwa sasa umeenda? Unajua si ati watu walikuchagua tu wewe peke yake, walikuchagua pia chama na hiyo msimamo yako. Kwa hivyo kama kweli wamenyanyaswa, hawajafurahi, wahame. Na tumeona happen pale kwingine na ikafanyika. Lakini tumekuwa pia tukijua kwamba mtu yoyote Mkenya anahitaji kupewa maendeleo. Whether ulichagua nani na ulichagua nani, imekuwaje wamejua ati hawa watu wa hiyo sehemu hawakuchagua hii government? Kwa sababu kura inakuanga siri ya mtu. Pengine watu wa hiyo eneo walimchagua huyu rais ambaye tuko naye. So kwa sababu kura ni siri, hakuna mtu mwenye lazima ati ahame chama ama aende kichini ndio apewe maendeleo. Kama kila mwananchi analipa ushuru, anafaa kupewa maendeleo bila ati mbunge wake kwenda kinyuma, na hiyo ndio demokrasia ya kweli. Yeah.
All right. So related to that, this is on the table where the dialogue is concerned. There were accusations of bad faith on account of I don't know that call it a refusal, a failure, a rejection of the replacement of Sabina Chege as the minority whip, as Azimio vows to paralyze Parliament over minority whip changes delay. But also on the front page of Taifa Leo, and I'll take us back there. Hii mambo ya Mount Kenya, Kega arukia Ruto kwa mapuuza, adai katika idhaa ya redio kwa rais ameanza kupuuza Mlima Kenya. And let me just read a couple of things from one WhatsApp group here where we're getting updates on that. One quick second. This was yesterday morning, and Iala MP Kanini Kega, former trade and investment CS Moses Kuria, failed in promoting Kenya as a strategic gainer in East African trade. He, for the period he lasted in the ministry, never attended a single meeting to strategize on how to gain from the existing windows of opportunity in the EAC. The relationship we have with other EAC members is Kenya is their export market, while we barely sell anything to them. Long distance lorries come to Kenya loaded with agricultural produce from neighboring countries, while those leaving Kenya are empty. Let's see, he is also quoted here as saying all those politicians who promoted the narrative that the cost of living was high because of the handshake need to apologize to the country, because the same problems have persisted so far and the government is doing the same things Uhuru was doing. Here he's also quoted as saying it reached a point where President William Ruto cracked the whip in his cabinet. He did well to pay the political debt by appointing those who helped him win the August 9th vote 2022. But he now should realize political debt does not count towards 2027. Those he paid political debt to should it emerge are not helping him deliver pre-election pledges should be removed. President William Ruto is sacking members of Mount Kenya. So there we have it. From government without replacing them with those from the same region. He gives an instance here. When the national blackout occurred, they sacked those from our region working in airports, yet electricity is not generated or connected to the grid from airports. Again, he's quoted as saying, Mount Kenya politicians have for long thrived on the narrative that area problems are linked to Raila Odinga. They're now facing the reality that Mount Kenya region problems are in agricultural poor returns, are in poor returns in agriculture, unemployment, gangs, alcoholism, narcotics, bad trade policies, and those are not issues that define Raila Odinga. Yes, he's the one actually who said William Ruto and Raila Odinga shook hands long ago and it is no longer an issue. It's only that this time round the handshake was not photographed on the stairs of State or Harambee House. He also says Ruto is being received and hugged by Nyanza region leaders in public meetings. How about our Gachagua? We should not appear as if we are the only ones opposed to national unity. And it is only in Mount Kenya where currently we have politicians strategizing for 2027, 2022, 2032, and even 2042. I'm not sure how true that is. And finally, it is not clear whether Mount Kenya voted for Ruto because of Gachagua influence, but elders should accept to hand Gachagua the Mount Kenya spokesman baton from Uhuru Kenyatta, but those elders are not united. We are facing political dangers owing to our divisions. And then it reads here, ends. This was on Inoro. But what do you make of this? That what is happening, Wanja? Kanini Kega seems to be somewhere, like, we are not too certain, given these statements, whether where he is exactly.
Well, did you make if it was a statement in a vernacular station over the other weekend? I think I watched the interview really. This Mulima, this Mount Kenya, it seems that the issues of that mountain are both figurative and practical, because it seems like that mountain is a mountain that really gives people sleepless nights, quite literally. Now that said, to an extent, while I do differ fundamentally with his utterances, those issues that he has attempted to address, issues like issues of agriculture in the region, those are real and legitimate issues. In the last year, your average macadamia farmer was selling a kg of macadamia between 180 to 200 shillings. Right now, that farmer is selling macadamia between 20 shillings and 30 shillings. So, for 1 kg, they have lost income of around 150 shillings. That's a lot of money to a farmer. He has attempted to talk about issues of gangs and such things. He has attempted to talk about issues of alcoholism. And for those of us who come from the region, we have always said the best rehabilitation for our youth in that region, I being one of them, the best rehab is opportunities. They have constantly talked about, let's open rehab, people are drinking too much. The question is, what should they be doing instead of drinking? Working, getting scholarships to go to TVETs. But because of lack of equality and in the division of the national cake, while our youth are getting a bursary of 2,000 shillings, in other regions they are getting a bursary of 50,000 shillings. So Mount Kenya region is a marginalized region. We are marginalized, we are disadvantaged on all angles, we are just on the periphery, while some people would imagine that we are doing very well.
So just now, quickly, before we move, Cynthia, when she said Mount Kenya is a marginalized region, you smiled.
I find that statement quite interesting, because when we look at Mount Kenya vis-a-vis other regions, or rather other communities, really us outside here, I'm from the Kisii community, we sometimes look up to the Mount Kenya region, because when it comes to opportunities, even government positions, like the Mount Kenya region gets more opportunities compared to us from Nyanza region. So when she talks about marginalization, I wonder then where us as Nyanza people are. That's why I smiled.
Wanja?
Well, marginalization is relative, because you see, when you're comparing, you have to ask yourself, what is the base? Where are we starting from? Now, I mean, with a lot of sympathy and appreciation for our friends from the other region, indeed, the issue of the equity and the equality of the vote has been an issue. And when we are saying we are marginalized, the debate has always been twisted to mean these Mount Kenya people want a lot of resources. But what we are saying is, when we're talking about equality of the vote and equitable distribution of the national cake, we are not saying the people who already have the cake, some of it to be taken away from them. All we are saying is, add in a way that will look nice even to us, so that our children don't get a dismal bursary of 2,000 shillings. But that said, on issues you have mentioned about DP Gachagua being handed the so-called Mount Kenya spokesmanship. But really, the debate is not merely, you see, when you say hand over the mantle of spokesmanship, it's not merely handing over a microphone, or is it handing over a fimbo to say that you are the leader. The leadership of the region, there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of issues and dynamics to be considered. For example, this is a region that thinks very highly of Uhuru Kenyatta, who has been the leader of the region for many years. These are people who are really convincing us to hand over the leadership to them. But remember, the people have been feeling very disgruntled when they hear that the leader they love so dearly is being made fun of, his sheep are being stolen in Northlands Farm, his children are being harassed. So really, for us, it has been an issue of, do you force leadership to be bestowed upon you to be the kingpinship and spokesmanship of the region, or does it come naturally out of the love and the admiration of the people towards your leadership?
Okay.
Should be remembered.
So, Wanja, I'll have to stop you there briefly so that we take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.